Καλησπέρα σε όλους και όλες, όσοι βρίσκεστε εδώ μαζί μας στην πλατεία της Βαμβακούς, αλλά και όλοι και όσοι και όσες μας παρακολουθείτε και διαδικτυακά μέσω live streaming στην μηνιαία μας συνάντηση στο πλαίσιο των διαλόγων κάθε μήνα. Συναντιόμαστε σε εντελώς διαφορετικό πλαίσιο, σε εντελώς διαφορετικό σημείο πια και εκτός Αθηνών για δεύτερη φορά οι διάλογοι και βέβαια όπως κάθε μήνα με εντελώς διαφορετικό θέμα.
And each time we have a completely different subject matter.
So we have very many speakers this evening and very interesting topics. Just the fact that we're outside of Athens in a village in the western side of Parnon Mountain makes us actually wonder why we're here. I must say that we've had a great time so far. Και εμείς νομίζω μέσα από όλες τις δραστηριότητες που περιέχει η σημερινή ημέρα για κάθε γούστο, για κάθε ηλικία, για κάθε προτίμηση. Όπως πολύ καλά γνωρίζετε, το θέμα μας είναι η επιστροφή στις ρίζες και έχει πολύ μεγάλο ενδιαφέρον, για μένα τουλάχιστον, δεν ξέρω, θα ήθελα και τη γνώμη των ομιλητών, αλλά και τη δική σας, να δούμε και τι είναι τελικά οι ρίζες. Οι ρίζες δηλαδή είναι απαραίτητα και βρίσκονται απαραίτητα στους τόπους καταγωγής μας ή μπορούμε να βρούμε και ρίζες δικές μας ακόμα και σε τόπους που μπορεί να νομίζαμε ότι μέχρι σήμερα δεν γνωρίζουμε. Έχει επίσης πάρα πολύ μεγάλο ενδιαφέρον να δούμε πώς μπορούμε να αναβιώσουμε τόπους, πώς μπορούμε να προσεγγίσουμε περιοχές οι οποίες είναι πιο απομακρυσμένες, οι οποίες συνήθως κατά το ελληνικό μοντέλο είναι αρκετά πιο απομονωμένες, χωρίς δυνατότητες στα βασικά αγαθά, αλλά με όρους και προϋποθέσεις που αν υπάρχει η όρεξη αλλά και η σωστή διαδικασία τελικά μπορούν να επιτευχθούν και να αλλάξουν όλη τη μεγάλη εικόνα. Να καλωσορίσω όλους όσοι βρίσκονται εδώ μαζί μας για να ανοίξουμε αυτή τη συζήτηση, ξεκινώντας με τη σειρά, ο Γιώργος Κουμεντάκης, ο καλλιτεχνικός διευθυντής της Εθνικής Λυρικής Σκηνής. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ που είστε εδώ μαζί μας σήμερα, για να δούμε και μέσα από τη δική σας εμπειρία ο πολιτισμός πόσο σημαντικός και ζωτικής σημασίας πυλώνας είναι στην αναβίωση ενός τόπου, αλλά να μοιραστείτε μαζί μας και μια προσωπική σας εμπειρία, γιατί βρεθήκατε σε έναν τόπο χωρίς να κατάγεστε από αυτόν τον τόπο. Βρήκατε όμως εκεί οι δικές σας ρίζες και κάνατε ό,τι καλύτερο για να τις δυναμώσετε κιόλας. Ο Κωνσταντίνος Χαβίδης είναι μαζί μας. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ και εσάς που έχετε έρθει εδώ για να δούμε υπό το πρίσμα μάλλον της τεχνολογίας και της καινοτομίας τι δυνατότητες δίνονται για να δημιουργηθούν θέσεις εργασίας, για να δημιουργηθούν δυνατότητες τέτοιες ανάπτυξης ενός τόπου με εντελώς διαφορετικούς και σύγχρονους τρόπους που σιγά σιγά κυρίως από το εξωτερικό μας έρχονται τέτοια πρότυπα και νομίζω ότι αν και εμείς θα μελετήσουμε με προσοχή δεν θα χάσουμε, παρά θα κερδίσουμε αν τα ακολουθήσουμε. Digital Officer του Δήμου Αθηναίων, ο Κωνσταντίνος Χαβίδης, ο πρόεδρος του Ιδρύματος Σταύρος Νιάρχος, Ανδρέας Δρακόπουλος, είναι μαζί μας, γιατί έχει σημασία να δούμε πριν φτάσω στην πλέον ομάδα, στην ομάδα που μας έχει ουσιαστικά προσκαλέσει σήμερα στο χωριό και μας φιλοξενεί στο χωριό, να δούμε τι είναι εκείνο το οποίο σας έκανε και έκανε ουσιαστικά το Ίδρυμα Σταύρος Νιάρχος πρωτίστως να πιστέψει σε αυτή την ιδέα, για ποιο λόγο αλλά και με ποιο τρόπο έρχεται κανείς να υποστηρίξει τέτοιου είδους πρωτοβουλίες και τι έχει και το μετά, πέρα από το σήμερα, πέρα από τη σημερινή πάρα πολύ ωραία γιορτή και συνάντηση. Ξέρουμε καλά ότι αρκετοί θα φύγουμε, κάποιοι όμως θα μείνουν πίσω και θα πρέπει όμως και οι δύο πλευρές να μην χαθούμε στο μέσο αυτής της διαδρομής. Ο Τάκης Κουλουβάρης επίσης, μετά από τον ορεινό αγώνα που πραγματοποιήθηκε και τα λέγαμε νωρίτερα, πρόεδρος της Αναγέννησης και Πρόοδος, γιατρός, ένα πολύ μεγάλο δίκτυο γιατρών που έχουν ταξιδέψει στην απομακρυσμένη Ελλάδα, στην άγωνη γραμμή αλλά και σε απομακρυσμένα σημεία της υπηρετικής Ελλάδας, για το αυτονόητο, για το οποίο όμως θα πρέπει να συζητήσουμε τι γίνεται με το θέμα της υγείας, πόσο απαραίτητος προφανώς πυλώνας είναι για τον οποιοδήποτε τόπο, κυρίως όμως ως προς την πρόσβαση. Μπορεί να είναι εφικτή η πρόσβαση για τους κατοίκους, τους γιατρούς, αλλά και στην ιατροφαρμακευτική περίθαλψη. Και ξεκινάμε. Ανάργυρος. Ελένη.
Ανάργυρος. Ελένη.
Ανάργυρος. Χάρης, Τάσος Παναγιώτης. Παίρνετε το μικρόφωνο, θέλω να μας συστηθείτε, να μας πείτε ονοματεπώνυμο, να μας πείτε πώς βρέθηκε ο καθένας εδώ, στο συγκεκριμένο χωριό, τι ρίζες έχει ο καθένας από εσάς με αυτό το χωριό, τι ρίζες απέκτησε στη συνέχεια, στην πορεία, γιατί ξαναλέω είμαστε σήμερα εδώ και κυρίως τι ακολουθεί μέσω της αναβίωσης της Βαμβακού.
Γεια σας, εγώ είμαι η Ελένη Μάμη. Δεν κατάγομαι από τη Βαμβακού. Ήρθα εδώ γιατί αγάπησα πολύ αυτό το χωριό. Ήρθα εδώ μαζί με τον Ανάργυρο. Ήμουν υποψήφια διδάκτορας στο Οικονομικό Πανεπιστήμιο Αθηνών στην Αθήνα.
in Athens, but I gave this up in order to meet the challenge of reviving Vamvakou. Welcome, my name is Stavros and I am here from Vamvakou. On the weekends, I didn't really like the village that much, to be honest, and when I was 5 or 10 years old I thought, oh, not the same old thing, but you see that the time has gone by. I wanted to become a stock exchange agent, but we've come to Vamvakou and you can draw your conclusions. I love what we do, and I was thinking when we came here, we haven't seen so many people since 2010, and it's the time that we honoured our past and our church, and now we're honouring our future. Thank you very much. So, good evening from me also, welcome. My name is Vardilos Anargiros, and I actually have my origins from this village, and we decided to take up the challenge of reviving it. And that's why we are here, in order to continue with the next few steps.
Γεια σας και από μένα, είμαι ο Τάσος ο Μάρκος,
I'm Stavros Niarchos.
I
am from Vamvakou.
Ασχολούμαι με τη Βαμβακού
I
πολλά χρόνια, με τα κοινά της Βαμβακούς.
involved in Vamvakou's issues for many years. I love
και συνεχίζω να δουλεύω πιο πολύ παρέα με το Ίδρυμα τώρα.
I am working long and hard with the foundation. Hi, my name is Panagiotis and I'm from Vamvakou. Spent here with my grandmother and grandfather. In order to ask the why and wherefore. How did you actually meet up and get to know each other? I think that if we're going to exempt the relationship between Anargiros and Eleni, I think that I and Anargiros were in fact closer for years. For quite a few years we had an informal type of collaboration for the cultural aspects. And then with all the guys we met up and got acquainted. And I think this diversity allows us to succeed. I think perhaps we shouldn't seek uniformity. I think diversity is the one that can initiate change. I think that diversity is the thing that makes us pull ahead. We each have our own thing to contribute, and that helps us pull ahead. How long have you lived here? Anargiros and I have settled in February, and I came last month, and the other guys will come in the next period, the forthcoming period. So,
νέους ανθρώπους,
we see people here who are young, who have good ideas, they're smiling, they're full of goodwill and appetite for the future. So if we are to remember the last 12 years, Harris also will confirm this from an aspect of journalism, that the positive aspect is those young people who do not move abroad are going to be provinces, they're going back to their villages. So the question is and was, how many actually managed to withstand, how many left in a coordinated fashion, they found people to join in this journey, and it's not a matter of success because failure is in fact commonplace, but they found the locale where they could actually set down roots easily. I don't think that we have many such examples. So the question is, before you tell us, Harry, what made you actually distinguish something that's special and believe in this endeavor? Well, yes, the matter of the last few years is how we're going to return back to the land, how we will sow the seeds and cultivate potato, and we will exit the crisis thus. That's not feasible. I think that we had the first dialogues in the Greek opera. Mr. Zervakis and Mr. Vasilakis had, in fact, a very good question to put to people. Is what or how more important? People answered. They responded to the question, but I would like to impart my personal view. So what actually is part of how? I mean, returning to the village did not succeed because the manner in which it was done did not permit it. Mr. Lakopoulos, well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody from Vamvakou for welcoming us here, because we're all visitors here. And I must say that we do have family roots here, because my great-grandfather and family descended from Vamvakou, and Stavros Niarchos died on a donkey in Vamvakou. But that's not the key reason. The key reason are these 5 guys, 4 guys and lady in the blue t-shirts. And I think that if we were approached about the village, we would have still said yes, but the yes was... If the people who want to do this work are in fact dedicated, and from the first day, and when we say that I'm going to leave my neighborhood in Athens and live in Vamvakou, you think, oh well, fantastic. What a good thing. So I think it's easy. There is a risk, and it's major. On the other side, I believe that what can actually come out of this process, because this is an important process that will take a lot of time, and even if we don't actually decide a few years hence that or if we decided a few years hence that, okay, in the end we didn't have the revival of Vamvakou, but for us the rebirth of Vamvakou has already come about, because we've been here since March, and in March you thought that it was an abandoned village, and we saw that the whole thing was something that made us sad, because we saw that there was no life, and 4 months later there is life.
Είναι πάρα πολύ σπουδαίο το πώς θα συνεχίσει αυτό το πράγμα, γιατί όπως είπατε και πριν, μπορεί να φύγουμε σήμερα και τι γίνεται αύριο. Κι όμως οι σπόροι υπάρχουν ήδη. Αυτό το οποίο επίσης έχει μεγάλη σημασία είναι ο ανθρώπινος παράγοντας. Και με αυτό εννοώ ότι και τα 5 παιδιά θα μείνουν εδώ πέρα, αλλά και κυρίως ο κόσμος ο οποίος θα έρθει για να ζήσει την εμπειρία. Είτε είναι εκπαιδευτικά προγράμματα, είτε είναι τα αθλητικά μονοπάτια, είτε είναι ο αγώνας που έγινε σήμερα. Συζητάγαμε με τον Τάκη, αν το κάνουμε για τον χρόνο. Η γνώμη μου είναι η εύκολη απάντηση είναι γιατί όχι.
In fact, it's something that's feasible. The answer is yes. And simply the people who are here today, and all the volunteers, and all the experience that has come here, we see that life has come back to Vamvakou. But the question is how far things will go. But this is not the purpose. We want to have the vision and the process and to sustain that, and slowly but surely we'll attract other people. I think that the summer with the different programs, as I said before, theatre and with the summer cinema, we want to bring people back. We want life to come back. So the answer was easy, and we will continue by their side, and it's very important to us all that this is in fact the village that we are connected with as a family, we have family ties, but what is most important is these people with the blue t-shirts, and they are working for this vision from the morning till night. Thank you very much.
θα έφτανε εδώ μια θεατρική παράσταση?
Would a theatrical play reach this village, or a performance by the National Opera? Not only would it will be, this will happen, we will have the pleasure to enjoy a short program by the National Opera. I'm really glad to be here in this village because it reminds me of my own adventure, because it feels like a whole century has gone by. I lived in a village of the site ladies in Tilos for 13 years. Called Estenia. This is a personal testimony. There might be some common points. What I'd like to say as an introduction, long before we learn about Estenia and the significance of Tilos, etc., this is quite significant. Yes, it is significant because our friends here should be cautious with regard to the development of such a cell, a growth cell that might potentially not be able to stand the test of such an endeavor. Now, I was impressed by the fact that a month ago we visited the premises here, and we were really impressed by the beauty, the site, and at the same time we see that many things have happened and many things are working. And I see a lot of people here, and this is the desideration here. On the other hand, such an area cannot only be remembered during the summer months where access is easier. The difficult part is winter, and this is what we were able to achieve in Tilos, in this small village. We were able to prepare the respective activities and actions during the winter months, and we found a way to approach cultural issues within an institutional framework. That is, we established and formed several teams that are still there, and some others were developed in the past few years, and I have lost contact ever since. Due to my involvement in the National Opera. This is the most difficult part. Living on your own, where
χειμωνιάτικο περιβάλλον πρέπει να βρεις και εκεί τον τρόπο να ασχοληθείς με τη ζωή. Τότε είχε γύρω το χειμώνα είχε γύρω το χωριό αυτό είχε γύρω στους 140. Αυτή τη στιγμή είναι γύρω στα 70 άτομα και δυστυχώς το χωριό πια έχει μεταμορφωθεί με την διαδικασία του Airbnb και όλης αυτής της τουριστικής ανάπτυξης. Δεν επιτρέπει πια τις κυψέλες αυτές των ατόμων που εμείς είχαμε φτιάξει πολύ ενεργά και πολύ δυναμικά να αναπτύσσονται με ευκολία, διότι έχει αλλάξει τελείως και το οικονομικό πλαίσιο στο οποίο, δηλαδή ένα σπίτι το οποίο έκανε τότε 70 ευρώ ή 100, τώρα δεν το βρίσκεις λιγότερο από 400 το μήνα για να μπορέσεις να επιβιώσεις.
Μια μεγάλη πρόκληση πάντως, δεν ξέρω, χωρίς να δεν έχω καμία αντίστοιχη εμπειρία, αλλά για μένα μία από τις μεγαλύτερες προκλήσεις είναι αντέξει όποια ομάδα δημιουργείται. Και το δεύτερο, και είναι ισότιμης δυσκολίας, είναι το πώς, ειδικά εάν δεν κατάγεσαι, αλλά και να κατάγεσαι από εκεί, έρχεσαι και ζυμώνεσαι με την τοπική κοινωνία.
Θα σας πω τώρα μια μικρή έτσι ιστορία το πώς βρέθηκα. Βρέθηκα μετά τους Ολυμπιακούς 1η Σεπτεμβρίου του 2004. Είναι πολύ σημαντικό αυτό γιατί τότε δεν υπήρχε κρίση. Αλλά δεν υπήρχαν και αντίστοιχα άτομα που να ενδιαφέρονται για την επαναφορά στην περιφέρεια και μάλιστα σε ένα ξεχασμένο χωριό των Κυκλάδων. Έναν ολόκληρο χρόνο έζησα κλεισμένο στο σπίτι μου προσπαθώντας να ξαναβρω τον εαυτό μετά τους Ολυμπιακούς, γιατί ήταν ένα πολύ δύσκολο κομμάτι. Δουλέψαμε 3 χρόνια πολύ σκληρά και το ψυχολογικό βάρος ήταν τεράστιο. Μετά τον ένα χρόνο άρχισα σιγά σιγά να ξεμυτίζω από το σπίτι, οπότε οι πρώτοι που συνάντησα δίπλα μου ήταν οι γείτονες και οι γειτόνισσες. με τις οποίες άρχισα έτσι μια πολύ ουσιαστική σχέση. Το αμέσως επόμενο βήμα ήταν η εκκλησία. Η εκκλησία σε αυτά τα χωριά, όπως και εδώ άκουσα πριν, έχει ένα πολύ βασικό ρόλο, γιατί τα πάντα κινούνται γύρω από το ερωτολόγιο της εκκλησίας και ο κόσμος ήταν στενά συνδεδεμένος, με βαθιά πίστη και με ευλάβεια, οπότε υπήρχε ήδη μια κοινότητα, χριστιανική κοινότητα, η οποία μας ένωνε και μας ένωνε ουσιαστικά και μας ενώνει ακόμα. Το αμέσως επόμενο ήταν διάφοροι τύποι, σαν εμένα καλλιτέχνες, οι οποίοι βρισκόταν εκεί ξέμπαρκοι, με τους οποίους αρχίσαμε σιγά σιγά να ερχόμαστε σε επαφή, να ανταλλάσσουμε τις κοινές μας εμπειρίες και να σκεφτόμαστε τι θα μπορούσαμε να κάνουμε, ειδικά σε αυτές τις μέρες του χειμώνα, που είπαμε πριν, για να έχει νόημα και ουσία η ζωή μας. Η προϋπόθεση ήταν ότι αγαπούσαμε πάρα πολύ το μέρος αυτό. Τη φύση, το να μένεις στη φύση και να συντεριάξεις και να συντεριάζεις και να ακολουθείς τη ζωή των συγκατοίκων. Έτσι. Μόλις τέλειωσε και αυτή η μικρή παρέα η οποία σιγά σιγά αναπτυσσόταν, γιατί ερχόταν κι άλλοι οι οποίοι προσπαθούσαν ακριβώς επειδή ενθουσιαζόταν με τον τρόπο που ζούσαμε εμείς, γιατί τα χαρακτηριστικά ήταν υψηλού περιεχομένου. Μπορώ να πω ότι ζούσαμε μέσα σε ελάχιστα στοιχεία μια πολυτελή ζωή. Λοιπόν, αυξήθηκε αυτό, φτάσαμε κάποια περίοδο τα 15-20 άτομα. Το αμέσως επόμενο βήμα ήταν να φύγουμε από το χωριό και να πάμε στα γύρω χωριά. Τα γύρω χωριά μας έδωσαν τη δυνατότητα να αναπτύξουμε τις ιδέες μας και να βρούμε κι άλλους που μπορούσαν να συντεριάξουν με τις δικές μας ιδέες και θέσεις για τη ζωή, τη τέχνη, τον πολιτισμό και όλα αυτά τα πράγματα. Και το αμέσως επόμενο η Τίνος. Υπάρχει το Ίδρυμα Τινιακού Πολιτισμού, ένας πολύ σπουδαίος φορέας, ο οποίος συνδέεται με την Εκκλησία, με την Παναγία της Τίνου και μας έδωσε τη δυνατότητα, επειδή ασχολήθηκα σε αυτό το χώρο φτιάχνοντας και δημιουργώντας το πολιτιστικό τους, ας πούμε, περιεχόμενο, γιατί μέχρι τότε ήταν αρκετά σαφές και εκπαιδευτικό και κοινωνικό κτλ. Μας έδωσε τη δυνατότητα να υπάρξουμε, δηλαδή υπήρχαν κάποια χρήματα που θα μπορούσαν να μας βοηθήσουν ακριβώς όπως κάνει τώρα το Ίδρυμα, βέβαια σε πολύ μικρότερη κλίμακα, αλλά αυτό δεν έχει σημασία. Σημασία έχει ότι υπήρξε κάποιος που τόνωνε ή μπορούσε να τονώσει αυτές τις ιδιαιτερότητες όλων αυτών των ομάδων και μετά όλο αυτό ανεξέλεγκτα αναπτύχθηκε σε όλο το νησί. Από εκεί και πέρα πιστεύω ότι την μπάλα τη χάσαμε για διάφορους λόγους. Αλλά μέχρι εκεί είναι το ιδανικό σημείο και μπορώ να σας πω και άλλα πράγματα αργότερα, να μην μονοπολώ την κουβέντα.
Θα πούμε πολλά, αλλά έχω κρατήσει δύο στοιχεία ή δύο σημεία τέλος πάντων και θέλω να ακούσουμε την ομάδα της Βαμβακούς. Το ένα είναι ορμόμενοι από όσα μας περιέγραψε τώρα ο Γιώργος, το γεγονός ότι προσπάθησαν να ταιριάξουν ουσιαστικά τη φύση, άρα ναι μεν ό,τι υπάρχει. Εδώ δεν χρειάζεται να μιλήσουμε για αυτή την υπέροχη φύση. Άρα φαντάζομαι ότι και εσείς έχετε να μας πείτε πολλά για το πώς θα ταιριάξετε τη φύση με τη ζωή όμως και την καθημερινότητα. Η καθημερινότητα σημαίνει ότι θα πρέπει να δουλεύω έτσι ώστε να βγάζω χρήματα, έτσι ώστε να μπορώ να καταναλώνω, έτσι ώστε να κινείται η αγορά, να κάνω οικογένεια, να πάνε τα παιδιά μου στο σχολείο και όλος ο κύκλος να συνεχίσει να γυρίζει. Άρα πέρα από αυτό το πάντρεμα, από το να ταιριάξει να ταιριάξουν αυτές οι πλευρές, το δεύτερο σημείο που έχω κρατήσει είναι το πώς το μοντέλο από το οποίο ξεκινήσατε, στοχεύσατε στο να λειτουργήσει πολλαπλασιαστικά. Δηλαδή, να μην έρθει και να κάνει αυτό το κύκλο τόσο γρήγορα εδώ και να μείνει εδώ, αλλά να μεταδοθεί και να επεκταθεί ευρύτερα και στα γειτονικά χωριά, σε ολόκληρο το νησί εν προκειμένου. Εδώ πέρα πια μπορούμε να μιλήσουμε και ακόμα πιο πολλαπλασιαστικά.
Κύριε Μπουσδούκου, μπορείτε να επαναλάβετε την πρώτη ερώτηση, γιατί έμεινα στη δεύτερη και ξέχασα.
Έχει πέσει το βάρος της ομάδας σε εσένα να απαντάς, Χάρη?
Όχι, αλλά κοιταχτήκαμε τώρα, εντάξει, προέκυψε.
Θέλω να ακούσουμε το δικό σας μοντέλο, τη δική σας σκέψη, προσέγγιση της εδώ κοινωνίας, της εδώ ζωής, του συγκεκριμένου χωριού, τους δικούς σας, αν θέλετε, άξονες, πριν περάσουμε στα διάφορα επιμέρους προγράμματα, τα οποία ήδη έχετε ξεκινήσει ή θέλετε να ξεκινήσετε. στο πού εστιάζετε εσείς την προσοχή σας και έφερα από όσα μας διηγήθηκε μόλις τώρα ο Γιώργος ως παραδείγματα, αυτά που τουλάχιστον εμένα μου έκαναν εντύπωση, το πώς θέλησαν να παντρέψουν τη φύση και ό,τι εν πάση περιπτώσει, γιατί γενικά μας βοηθάει η φύση, μας βοηθάει ο τουρισμός, μας βοηθάει αυτό το κομμάτι. Το θέμα είναι τι κάνουμε με το άλλο κομμάτι. Εκεί συνήθως λίγο δεν. Οπότε εδώ πέρα κρατώ αυτό το ιδιαίτερο πάντρεμα. Και το δεύτερο στοιχείο είναι το πώς το μοντέλο που ακολούθησαν και εφάρμοσαν στα Ιστέρνια πολλαπλασιαστικά λειτουργήσε και για άλλα χωριά και συνολικά για ένα ολόκληρο νησί.
Η φύση πλέον είναι ο χώρος εργασίας μας. Έχει επιδράσει καταλυτικά, θετικά καταλυτικά, πρώτα απ' όλα στον ύπνο μας. Μπορώ να σας πω ότι ξυπνάμε νωρίτερα από ό,τι ξυπνούσαμε στην πόλη και αισθανόμαστε λίγο χορτά στον ύπνο. Μπορεί να σας φαίνεται αστείο, αλλά είναι πολύ απαραίτητο για να μπορείς να λειτουργήσεις όλη τη μέρα. Επίσης, είναι πολύ εκνευριστική πλέον η ζέστη της πόλης. Είτε αυτή λέγεται Σπάρτη, είτε λέγεται Αθήνα. Πέρα από αυτά τα καταναλωτικά και τα είδη πρώτης ανάγκης, όπως λέμε, η φύση, πέρα από τον τουρισμό, όπως είπες, δεν στεκόμαστε σε αυτό. Δεν πάμε να φτιάξουμε ένα χωριό το οποίο θα είναι αμιγώς τουριστικό. Δεν λείπει αυτό, δεν θέλουμε αυτό. Θέλουμε να μείνουμε πιστοί στο χαρακτήρα που έχει το χωριό, στο παραδοσιακό αυτό χαρακτήρα. Και οι άξονες πάνω στους οποίους δουλεύουμε είναι τρεις. Ο ένας είναι οι υποδομές, αυτές που είδατε, μπορούμε να πούμε ότι είναι κάποιες υποδομές αγροτουριστικές. Ο δεύτερος είναι η καινοτομία και ο τρίτος είναι η αγροτική παραγωγή φυσικά.
Να τις αναφέρουμε και πιο συγκεκριμένα, γιατί είμαστε ήδη στο χωριό, έχουμε ήδη περάσει τη μισή μας μέρα, έχουμε πάει σε 2, 3, 4, 5 υποδομές που όπως προαναφέρθηκε πριν από μόλις πριν από λίγους μήνες δεν υπήρχε.
Examples of infrastructure, and 3 or 4 months ago they were even there. The first phase of implementation of the project was initiated early in 2019. We built the area which you see behind you, the tavern, the cafe. We have refurbished the school area where we are going to hold many activities, cultural activities, the community offices that will house the offices of our organization that will help implement this project. We have made efforts to improve our daily lives. All this has to do with infrastructure. This is a village which is a small village. It has nothing to do with sport, so we need to ask and demand things. There was no public lighting, the streets were not clean. These are big city.
Ακόμα είναι μικρά, αλλά βοηθάνε όλες μας. Πάνω σε αυτά στηριζόμαστε για να αλλάξουμε την καθημερινότητά μας. Συνεχώς βρίσκουμε προβλήματα τα οποία προσπαθούμε να βρούμε λύσεις. Είτε μικρότερα είτε μεγαλύτερα. Και αυτό το οποίο θέλουμε στην πραγματικότητα είναι να κρατήσουμε το χαρακτήρα του χωριού και να παρέχουμε σύγχρονες συνδυασμούς κατοίκους
provide at the same time modern conditions of living for the inhabitants, the current and the future ones. What is the nature of the village that you want to preserve? What is it that we need to know about this village which we haven't visited
Θέλουμε να κρατήσουμε καταρχήν το παραδοσιακό του χαρακτήρα.
So it's 6 o'clock, that's your clock, huh?
Δεν λειτουργούσε όταν
So this didn't work when we first came. Only just starting to function now. So one of the things that was corrected slowly but surely, we want to keep the same image of the village, and we want to have people coming here to be able to have basic amenities such as internet. We need also water supply and sewerage. And we have 10 to 12 people living here at the moment, so when they become 30, problems will arise, and as we speak, they do not appear to the service. So we have to see in the next few years what we'll be able to do, as I said, in the primary sector, the secondary sector, to see how we can do and what we can do in remote working, and what will be the actions and activities, and what organizations we can, in fact, attract in order to implement this. So that's how we're thinking of going. And, of course, there are things that we don't know. Obviously, we'll make mistakes. When we start something, mistakes will happen. We'll try for the best, and we're here to prove ourselves and our village. And with these improvements, our day-to-day life improves. So we heard, in fact, the mention of technology. But I'd like to look to you, Mr. I'd like to ask first, have you actually come to this village before? So, yes, it's your first time. So tell us what your first impressions were. Okay, under this lens, not that it's a beautiful village, but rather technology and how this will enable things. I want your first impressions. Vamvakou is not a unique village in Greece. Remote areas abound. We are a country that has a difficult geographical relief, insularity and mountainous regions. And we have many such villages similar to Vamvakou, not with respect to beauty alone, but how many abandoned villages you might find throughout the Greek territory. Technology can give zero solutions if we don't describe the problem to technology, if we don't actually utilize it as a tool for advancement, if we consider technology to be a market of tools, of a platform, it is certain that this tool will, in fact, have no utility whatsoever. So let's describe the problem. I would like to where it was safe for them to do so, in order to go on to live in villages or people who were help make life better. Villages with few people are, in fact, bad villages. And we see that they then came to town cities, and we see that we consider the advancement of society to be, in fact, associated with these large cities. So we have, on the one hand, the agglomeration of people, and the other hand, we have the issue of climate change. So it seems strange that we actually live one above the other in blocks of flats in a rather unsustainable even if we go about greening environment. But the issue here is how we can actually bring this to life, how we can bring growth opportunities to this village. So I think we look at things from the reverse side. So we must go beyond the romance of weaving and of traditional sweets, but we have to see what technology can, in fact, give us. And we must start thinking creatively, leaving delusions behind us. And we have to see how we can bring here to Vamvakou people who want to face challenges, technological challenges. You know, IT specialists are not normal people, that's known the world over. And, of course, they have this specificity. They can work wherever there's internet, electricity, and so they don't need a desk, they can put it on their own lap. So we have internet in Vamvakou. I saw an optic fibre coming up. This is a rather sad story that we can discuss at another point, but we should try. And there are models of going about this. That means bringing people here, not to send satellites into orbit in space, but to come and see Vamvakou through the eyes of people who live here, and to have solutions. And these solutions will not be simply for this small and wonderful Vamvakou, but solutions for very many villages and remote areas, not only in Greece, but in other parts of the planet. These are things that we've tried in Athens with the grant of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation and with the synergy of Nokia, and the CEO of Nokia is here, and he was the father of the idea, and with Cosmote we created Athens Digital Lab, and we did something in Athens, how young people will find the support of the city of Athens and the support of the grants of SNF and the support of two major companies such as Nokia and Cosmote. And this has in fact given excellent results, and as Mr. Dragopoulos said, we need time in order to see what the results generated are. So I think that we should imitate something that's worked for Athens in this such a difficult space, difficult city, and to give the opportunity to young children who have the will and the intention to live for a certain period of time. We cannot be inflexible here, but we should give them the opportunity to come here and produce technology here in Vamvakou, instead of going about buying something off the shelf. I think that we should say how good telemedicine is, or how good it would be to have Netflix here, to see Netflix in high definition. That's all good and well, but what would be important is how we can give birth to technology here. So something that I'd like to ask Mr. Dragopoulos, and this is something that comes from the experience of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, and with respect to the support of various programs. And we see that it has been mentioned here how special it is here, and the human factor comes into play here. So how can you actually distinguish and believe that this is in fact a truly successful experiment, project, endeavour? Let's call it an endeavour. So what is the component and the first element which we'll consider to be a good first sign? Well, as I said in the beginning, it's one of the grants that doesn't have a benchmark. We don't say that we have to have this in 2 years or this in 3 years. It is a package, and I think if we see people coming here and the multiplier working in terms of human factor for people wanting to come here, as these 5 people came to live in Vamvakou, so long as the programs run, we see that new ideas are generated by those people who are coming to settle here. So, as we see, there is a risk that in a few years' time we'll say that we had a full revival. Is that the wage? No, that's not the point. For me, this project has already succeeded in our eyes. This might appear to be curious when you first hear it, but we consider this to be successful. And those of me who know me know that I am inspired by Gaddafi's poem Ithaca, and I consider that it is important to set out on the voyage. It's not something, in fact, that we don't want to succeed. Of course we do, but we don't have the pressure of time that we have to have so many people settling in 2 years, so many kids in school in so many years. No, that's not the case. In my eyes, people go to major cities, and this will continue because that's how life is. So for me, it's an experiment, and even if it does not work, we will still be happy to have contributed. The fact that we have tried to give something that's different, something that is more human, within nature, and which generates its own journeys for many people.
Πριν δούμε τι γίνεται με τον τομέα της υγείας, που εδώ πέρα δεν χρειάζεται να πει κανείς.
For the health sector, we need to not say more as to the necessity of access to health services, particularly when we're talking about parents of young children, but even without young children, for any person, be them with the family or on their own, it is important. But I'd like to hear more from the audience. I'd like to hear the comments from the audience, the questions. But maybe for questions that you would like to put to the blue team here, the Vamvakou Revival team. And you also have the possibility to send your questions through the internet. We need to gather all the questions because we are talking about issues that are interesting for us all. But since most of you are from the broader region, I think that this is a topic which is more closer to your own interests. So, in what way should a team having this vision approach this project? This area is neither far nor close to Sparta. How should we approach the issue of health services? We need to take into consideration all the specifications, the programs and plans of the team. Thank you, Ms. Bousdoukou. I think that we all need to agree that every citizen has a right to health. This is not a privilege, and when we talk about health, we are talking about immediate and direct access to health services at a certain cost. I have access to new therapies, new treatment, I have access to technology, and there is an equal access. From our own experience in the past years from the 24 remote islands, and here I make a parenthesis saying that our roots is not only our birthplace, but the place where we are creative. I am from Mani, but I know that it's 24 remote islands, and this is where my roots are. So from our own experience, following this important grant by the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, we have concluded that for these people in these remote areas, health is not a right but rather a privilege. Definitely here in Vamvakou, young people should demand direct access to the health system. What do I mean by that? There are two issues here. The first one is prevention. We know that to prevent is better than to treat. And the second thing has to do with emergencies. Prevention. We could have mobile units that could visit all islands with the appropriate equipment, with portable equipment, CT scan, etc., and have a prevention screening program. Now, with regard to emergencies, maybe through the institution of the family doctor, which unfortunately has been underdeveloped in our country, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation has already prepared family doctors training programs in New York. However, unfortunately, in our country, it hasn't been developed that much. A family doctor could be able to cover from 5 to 8 villages. And here, of course, remote medicine, telemedicine could help a general practitioner in cases of emergency. This is a major issue, the health sector, the health services. It has not been solved yet in the small island. In 2014, when we started an important survey, there were no women who had been subjected to a mammogram, nowhere to be found in these 24 small islands. They had to make an appointment to go to Athens. So young people should demand the access to the national health system. Would you like to give us a picture of what is available in the village and what is not available, so that we can start understanding the needs? What is the first priority? What is the first basic need, or what was the first basic need that you have already covered, and towards which direction do you think your next steps will take you, having just taken your first steps, of course, after having had the speakers who have pointed out the main ingredients for such an endeavor? I think that one of the main problems in Vamvakou has to do with amenities, infrastructure. We needed to have a place to stay that would allow us to be able to stay here the whole year long, because there was the issue with the heating. It wasn't an easy winter. For instance, the pipes would freeze because of the extreme low temperatures. It's a village. We have often snow, and this makes things difficult. Of course, we weren't excluded despite the difficult winter, but it is an issue. Heating is an issue. Stay is an issue. Issues pertaining to property have to be solved. So the main problem had to do with the stay in the village, the amenities. This has not been solved yet, but we expect to solve it in the next stage.
No, if we need to discuss it now, but I'm interested in socialization. We discussed this at a certain point in time, but we don't feel ourselves to be isolated. So we see this family is so great, and we see that the people who are coming into our professional life are in fact really multiplying in number. And we see that this is, in fact, a matter of both personal and professional life. And you might think that, okay, who should I actually come and stay here? Will other people speak with me? Will they play with me? You know, it's like we were at school. I didn't really think I would like to come here because I was an antisocial child. And what happened? Well, I kind of changed my mindset, and we were accepted really very well. You know, when things are shaken up, we will have different points of view. We'll have points of discord and disagreements. But these are part of life. And, you know, people are a bit suspicious. I mean, how can you accept a difference of opinion? How can we accept whether it is a matter of disrespect or not? But I think that there can be a way of overcoming some people's bad manners and live with them. So the issue of socialization is important, but we don't feel isolated because we were never alone in this effort. We have a lot of colleagues around us. We have the Stavros Niarchos Foundation with us. So every day we were with other people. We discussed many points indeed, and we broadened our horizons. And we did that in every meeting. We found different things, different ideas. Every day is different. So we actually did things that we never considered that we would occupy our mind with. I never imagined that I'd be able to do what I did, what I've done since February in Vamvakou. I don't know if I was given the possibility to do that in Athens, and to do it in such a short period of time and at such a young age. That is a point that has made living here so special. What about the friends you have, and how you used to socialize in the life previous to this? So your friends come to actually see you. Where are your friends? They're here. I've lost them because they're all wearing blue blouses or blue T-shirts. They're here and they're helping us. And of course we go back to Athens. They haven't forgotten our faces, or vice versa. So they're amongst the first people who support us. They really look at each project and how it shapes up. And they're there, they're at the stairs. They've been helping us all day long. and they've been showing us around and giving us directions. So that's what they've been doing all day long. They've been helping us to get to know the village. So through this wonderful story that we heard before, with respect to Installment, and those of us who have gone to Dinos have really loved them, and we've felt something, we felt very touched in that land. So what is the thing that has, in fact, disappointed the team? Well, before we go to that, can I actually broach a previous point, because I think it's very interesting, because the first things that you deal with are practical in nature. So we had, in fact, power blackouts all the time. We didn't have drinkable water in the taps, and there was no wastewater processing. We often didn't have access to doctors. There was no lighting in the street. So from a certain point onwards, people who were older couldn't actually circulate at night, etc. The first thing that we tried to improve was our relationship with the locals, and that was not easy. They had actually started believing that this was how things should be and that they had no rights in this life. That was impressive. So slowly but surely, any initiative that we took, and I'm saying that you're starting with wonderful specs, if you like, and very well. So whatever we did collectively and all together. We collected signatures. We went to the Public Power Corporation and we asked for the electricity supply to actually be underground. And now I think that they're not only enjoying this, but they believe it to be a right, an entitlement that they have, and it's not something you can deprive them of. So anything that might exist as a problem, they actually address it collectively, and that is a major victory for us all. So we didn't have this wonderful set of specifications that we have here, which are so evolved. We had things at a smaller scale, more local in nature, and we see through art and culture we tried to make headway. So that's why we tried through these procedures to develop our activities. So, what happened suddenly? It suddenly became one of the most touristic villages in Dinos because it was advertised so much. The infrastructure are minimal, so they cannot withstand to this huge flux of people that came in. So people come July and August. At the end of August, they disappear. The village returns to its normal way of living. And something strange occurs. All of those who live throughout the winter, trying to withstand these conditions and trying to create a new world, leave in the summertime to go elsewhere, and they return in September. And for me, that was a point of attrition, and that discouraged me. But on the other hand, you cannot do anything because life evolves, and it can do that in absentia without us. And I don't know if this will take a specific shape and we can find a good golden mean and good point for us. But we have 5 cafeterias. It's a small village. It's a small social fabric. We have a restaurant, cafes, and I don't know what else. All the houses have become rooms that are let. So what are they pursuing? They want to gain money in a short period of time directly, forgetting all the elements that we developed and we want to further develop. Nevertheless, the bodies that I described before, the bodies of culture or the vectors of culture, because it is a setting of culture that we have developed, continues to exist. It is something that's very dynamic, and this, in fact, allows us to look to other periods of time. There are one or two things that happen in the heart of summer, but the rest are in fact spread out throughout the year. And I think that if I can actually give a point of view from my experience, I think that Vamvakou has to create hospitality programs through such a creative process. And I include everything in culture. I don't consider it's just music or paintings or theatre. I add other, in fact, thrusts, and it might be a matter of apiculture, it might be the use of the amazing water that you have here. So it was difficult for us because, we were on a deserted part of the island which was barren. But they actually work on marble. They use marble a lot, and that's what we tapped into. So we have, in fact, a platform put together by Mr. Guru, who's an artist, and he brings artists from all the places of the world. So there's always a curator who actually sets the topic, and we see that all these people come and live on the island in the village. So they bring it to life, and they work their own art, or they do farming. They draw on these activities, and they produce their art, which they exhibit in various ways. And you should see how it brings the village to life and how the inhabitants become involved. And this is very important. And we have the work produced, exhibited, and we also invite schools, and we have the school visits that come through various school programs. And the children get to grips with art. Art is a point of behavior and of their own evolution.
Action for anyone. I mean, it is broader than the local character. Anyone can be there. Yes, so the activities cover many sectors. We have the locals, we have foreigners who visit at different seasons, and we have a special public visiting for a special purpose. This is important, and people come from all around the world. If there is a positive view and hope that emerges from this whole effort, is that I've seen this work at a global scale. You might say that this is a small scale when you have a small village in the Cyclades and a few people come from around the world to visit this venue, etc. Well, we would have many people come. We had a latest exhibition by Kaniaris. It was after his death, and many thousands of people had visited the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. It is important because it shows that this is a dynamic process and no one can stop it. Now, going back to the role of technology, since in Greece we don't have many such examples, but I think that we do have some such examples from our European neighborhood. Other countries that can serve as models, countries with which we have some common elements and features that we could start imitating. Well, there are two categories of models of interest here. we have other countries with which we have certain common grounds. The European South, all people from the European South have certain common elements. Spain has some such cases that are of interest, and there are also thematic areas. For instance, in the UK, 10 years ago, there were villages. Obviously, the UK does not face the issue of the remote areas. There were villages, entire villages. People couldn't stand the pressure of London, people of high income who went away from London, and they created communities. And precisely because they were quite wealthy, they started reviving certain communities, and they started investing in technology. So at the beginning of this current decade, we saw communities of people who would build internet networks on their own in their villages. This was a self-financed program, and it was a really interesting attempt. What can we gather from this example? Both from the example of these villages and the Athens example, we need to understand that partnerships are the ones that will lead the way. What do I mean by that? The model whereby the municipality will undertake one initiative, and we will expect everything to work through this initiative. It's not doable. It's not feasible. Because of the characteristics of our country, we've reached our limits as a country, and of course we have different challenges to tackle. So we need to identify new tools. Technology is not the technology of the kind that we have to plug into. We are talking about partnerships, and I'm not talking about public and private sector partnerships, the way we understand them in projects, etc., but I'm talking about partnerships that are of no financial interest. They are partnerships that have to do with public interest. The private sector is curious and is willing to offer, and we should not exclude the contribution of the private sector. There are such examples in Athens. We have established the Athens Partnership, a whole body responsible for such partnerships. We were able to tap in to such partnerships. The example has worked, and it has had a successful result. This is what has brought Athens to the top position vis-à-vis innovation. It has to do with the way we do things in a different way. We do more with less, and through these partnerships we're able to produce tangible results. And I'll give you an example. If we have tablets introduced in schools, this is a certain issue. We have technology as a tool. However, if technology helps us have a pioneering school, we have had the example of 25 schools receiving grants from the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. This was a partnership between the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, the Municipality of Athens, and the University of Crete. On the other hand, we have another issue on the table. Vamvakou, in any such example, will not operate and function on its own, because if we invest having a short-term project in our mind, this won't help a lot. We need to have a long-term plan. We want to be able to attract other children, for instance, at the school of Vamvakou. So we need to have centers of excellence to the scale of this area. This is one answer. On our own, we can't do anything. We cannot work on our own. I don't know if you would like to add something to that. Yes, we absolutely agree. We are in agreement with that. And this is our objective as well. This project needs people to implement it. So we need everyone with us. Even the inhabitants of our own village are welcome. We try to convince them to open their houses and offer them as a short-term stay solution for those who work in the village. It's an important effort. Yes, although you have not been here long, was there any moment where you felt that maybe you should go back, maybe things don't work, because it's not that easy. You go somewhere for a weekend, and if the water is not warm, well, you want to go back to the city. So you have to face problems with losing friends, making new friends, making your supplies, the weather conditions, all this in conjunction with the rest of the difficulties that have to do with the amenities, infrastructure, lack thereof, the lack of pharmacy. Well, I think that we have given it some thought before coming here, and we have been working on that together with the foundation for the past 2 years. I think that we had thought about it. Of course, there were difficult and hard days during winter time. Yes, I want to hear more from you. Because, as you said, this is not your place of origin. Yes, however, I'd like to point out that the people, the locals, have really supported me, and I see their admiration. They think that this is something important. It has to do with a change of your way of life. You do some changes, and you try to achieve the conditions for you to live. The only thing that made me think about it twice was when the pipes froze during winter time. What can someone do now in Vamvakou, and what will someone do during winter time? Now, we have planned for an important activities program. We revive the cinema because in the past there used to be a cinema in Vamvakou, so we are going to have a revival, and today we had the official opening for this cinema. We had the projection of a film at the school. There will be activities for children, some programs for hiking, trails, etc. And we have organized cultural events pertaining to the history of the village in order for our visitors to get to know what would happen in the past in this village, because I have to tell you that we are not the first team that tried to do something better for our village. Back in 1898, a respective team, which was the Association of Proxies of Vamvakou, tried to revive the village back then, and they set an example. A law on the municipalities and communities in Greece has been based on the example set by this association in Vamvakou. Aside from these cultural events and educational training programs, plans for the future in winter might include some artists visiting the village. Mr. Koumantakis, maybe we'll be able to work on technology. We will have hot roofs available. We will be working on health issues. And we're open to new ideas. We do have plans. We are now conducting with the respective studies, trying to see how we can invest on agricultural produce. It takes a few steps, slow steps. So what should we taste? Walnuts treated. Can you find it here? Yes, near the school.
Everything will come out. The microphone is not on. So first and foremost, I'd like to promise that the National Opera is going to help in the hospitality program, and we will start from this winter. So we're going to launch it. It needs a lot of work, but we believe in this team spirit. And I believe that this is the only way to have, in fact, clear-cut results. So we are by their side, and we're going to jointly decide when this will be and how it will be developed. Soon, also, the National Opera. You're avoiding the question. Let's see, everybody is hidden. I didn't ask about the artists. I asked in which things did you participate. So, are we going to put everybody else to shame? Everybody is going to answer that. So, you want to hear what we did with our friends? We ate at Karies, fantastic food. I think, what did you eat? I think absolutely everything. Many types of meat. Amazing food. Do we have, any appetite for katovrisi? I think so. I mean, by the time we go there, we'll definitely be hungry again. So I think that this is something that will bear fruit again, and I see everybody is very passionate about it, and I have seen it with my own eyes in our first things that we've discussed. But you need to have this love. Without this love, it's not very easy to bring about results. I mean, you'd have to have this love of the land in order to live in a remote village. So romanticism is a strong thing, but it's not enough. And there's also a harsh reality that you have to come to grips with in an organized fashion. So I think the National Opera will, in fact, contribute as best it can. And that's what I can promise now. Well, what a nice answer. Yes, I didn't answer directly. So, what about the church? How often do you celebrate Mass here? I mean, I heard what is the importance of the church and how important it is in a small society. Well, it's mainly when we have to celebrate. So it's on the day of St. Haralabos and St. Kyriakis Day. And don't judge from this church that was renovated a few years ago, thanks to Father George and with the Metropolitan Church of Monavassia and Sparta, and everybody who stood by the side of Vamvakou, because the church is something that belongs to the whole village. And we know that somebody believes or not, but the church is a point of reference irrespective of religious belief or creed. So we have our two-day celebration of a religious nature, 26, 27 July. So this will be quite soon. And what will you do then? We'll come back with Mr. Koumantakis from a gastronomical point of view. I don't know why you're looking at me and saying that. Well, you said, Mr. Koumantakis, George, I think that people will think that I'm the one who likes to eat. Well, what do you prepare here? Well, it's mainly pork. Okay.
Πώς το λέτε?
Μπουζοπούλα.
We call it bouzopoula.
Από μουσική μου λέει να ρωτήσω, για ξεκάρφωμα.
With respect to music, there is in fact an effort to have traditional music and to actually avoid what might be considered bad music by some. So it's not as trying to be highbrow or something, but what we here we want to bring us pleasure. We want to come here and to have the pleasure of traditional and good music. So you said 26th and 27th of July. Yes, it's Friday and Sunday. Mr. Habins, what did you do? Well, I think that my performance was bigger and greater. I went to the tour. I have witnesses. I'm one such. And I also followed the yellow trail. And did you arrive at the school? From here, yes. But I also followed the yellow trail in the lower part, and I almost reached Ayekirieki, St. Kirieki. And I also looked at how we organized this, and the volunteers actually applauded me, thinking that I ran together with the other people who ran in the race. But I was, in fact, able to go there back and come back walking without breaking a sweat. So I participated in the small race. I think for me it was more walk than run, but it was a wonderful trail, and I must say that we've had a wonderful time today, and we love what is happening here, and it has been a great joy to see it. Well, I participated in the race. We've experienced it in the last, we've actually organized it in the last month or so, and Parnon is a wonderful mountain for mountain races. So do you think you could actually attract sports tourism? Do you have these possibilities in this area? Well, it can satisfy or respond to what everybody wants to do, whether they want to walk or to race. And it could be part of the international calendar of events, and we could attract people from abroad. And the representative Switzerland ran. We had 6 foreigners. We had somebody who was blind and somebody who was deaf and dumb running, and I think that this could easily be on the international calendar of events, and there are technically difficult points and simple ones that people could just walk on. I won't look at you because you were racing everywhere. So is there a question, or is there something that the audience would like to say? Yes, please, let's give the microphone to the lady in the second row. Could you please bring the mic forwards? Please, wait a second.
Γεια σας. Εγώ ήρθα από τη Θεσσαλονίκη ειδικά για τους διαλόγους.
Thessaloniki, specifically for the dialogues. I imagine that we will soon see you in Thessaloniki. Yes, this is what we've actually been thinking about. Thank you very much for what you've been doing, which we can watch through the internet. So with this project of going back to the roots, I found out that I don't have roots myself. My ancestors were from Pontus, from the Black Sea, and from the one side, and from the other side, they were from Istanbul, from Constantinople. So I suppose that Vamvakou will become my place of origin, and maybe the dream is for this Swan Lake performance to visit Thessaloniki for now. Now I'd like to thank Mr. Drakopoulos for a great grant to HEPA Hospital through the Mazi organization, which is a CT scanner. And it is for northern Greece. It's a unique piece of equipment. Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Το μικρόφωνο παρακαλούμε πολύ και πάλι εδώ μπροστά στην πρώτη σειρά.
The microphone here.
Το μικρόφωνο.
Γεια σας και από μένα. Ήθελα να κάνω ένα σχόλιο, δεν έχω ερώτηση.
I have a comment.
Νωρίτερα υπήρξε και ερώτηση αν θα πετύχετε, πώς θα πετύχετε.
We heard about your effort to succeed, but I'd like to share with you an example from technology. If we look globally, there are huge technology companies that started at the level of a startup, and they were able to become huge companies that are admired by everyone. And this happened because they had certain characteristics. They were young people with a vision. They had the willingness and passion to work, the dedication, and they found some kind of support, a fund or someone who helped them make their dream come true. So these were their reasons to succeed, and I think that you have such characteristics yourselves, and you are bound to succeed. The thing is that when this success arrives, this will serve as a pilot for other places in Greece. So you have a double joy. You will have succeeded, and on the other hand, you will be able to see that you have set an example for the rest of Greece. Thank you. The gentleman over there. Hello. First of all, I'd like to thank the Foundation for holding such events. This can be a starting point in order for the Parnon mountain to become like Switzerland. Such actions and events can be undertaken at a low cost. We can have culinary tourism, experiential tourism initiatives. There's a central concept, and if this concept is small, this might lead to a bigger concept. It can spread and create jobs. This is the first prerequisite in our area. If we want our area to grow, we need to have the primary sector development, we need to have tourism development coming from experiential tourism, culinary, gastronomy, tourism, arts, culture, civilization. All this can give us an extra benefit. Investing a small capital can lead to a huge profit. In the neighboring village, we saw that there was such an effort that had been undertaken. They created a hostel. We had the example of Agios Petros with Malevi, where we had Kapitan Zacharias with Theodoros Kolokotronis. All this can be further developed, and there are people who are listening to us right now as we speak. A few years ago, we had talks with the mayor about rendering Parnon as the whole region as rendering a destination for gastronomical tourism. We've had discussions with Mamalakis, Panagatu, etc., suggesting that we could organize such events in Parnon. So we have certain characteristic species. We have the Mironia herbs that are consumed by sheep, and this affects the milk, etc. In New York, I heard that they would consider the meat coming from the Parnonas animals one of the best meats in the world. Goats, sheep. So there are numerous There's a huge potential that can lead to the creation of jobs. There are many concepts. For instance, the Mistras area has 1 million visitors every year. There are books on the Mistras that are going to be published. There are artists, creators, Evangelos Yamoris, who is a friend of mine and wants to come here to perform here. And only yesterday he was being interviewed by a new TV station. So since there is this foundation that is willing to support such efforts, I think that this will be a successful effort. I'd like to thank you once again. Thank you very much. The lady there.
To what was recounted by the gentleman that we just heard, we understand, Mr. Drakopoulos, the breadth of things that can be done and the potential that exists. Of course, I would like to say that from my point of view, we've seen, those of us who are observers, that there might well be support as long as there's implementation in the future. So it's not simply a matter of backing somebody instantaneously. So one can very well imagine that what we discuss here and what will happen can be the starting point so that we can have multiplier effects in order to help the broader region, or to have a plan that would pertain to the region at large. So you can remember that we said that Laconia can, in fact, be an important area, and Parnon could be Switzerland. Well, I think there's nothing lacking in Parnon, and I think it's on a par with Switzerland, but we have both human factor and a wonderful environment, but we need to tap into it. But I think we have to have multiplier effects, and these are matters of events. So there's no doubt that thanks to Vamvakou, we actually brought our attention to the broader region of Laconia. As you know, we have in fact had been holding various activities and actions for many years in the whole of Greece, and that is why we brought our focus back to the broader region of Laconia. And I had also worked with Bishop Stavros, with whom we'd like to thank for being with us, and we were able to equip the department or the School of Byzantine Music and Hagiography. And those of you who follow us know that we have this initiative on health. This is a huge project which is nationwide, and we have in fact visited Sparta Hospital, which is in a sorry state, unfortunately, and we have decided to build our new hospital in Sparta. Had Renzo Piano, who is the architect of international renown from Italy, and a friend of the foundation, because he's built the cultural centre in Athens, and he's going to build the Thessaloniki and Komotini hospitals also. And we're going to proceed with the agreement to have a new hospital in Sparta built. Also, thanks to the visit that we had in March, we went to the Archaeological Museum of Sparta, and we know that there are efforts to build a new museum, but we believe that the existing one is a true jewel, and it is a historical gem, and from all aspects for the city of Sparta. And together with Renzo Piano, we have been discussing, together with the new mayor and the minister, to see whether we can help in order to make an intervention so that it can remain a true gem as is. We also have the Mosaics Museum with Mr. Varoutiotis, who's with us today, and we'd like to thank him. So, as you see, all of this is due to the Blue Team, and we thank them for it. We're all ears. Well, I think that the bells ringing is, in fact, rather symbolic. My name is Eleni Gazi, and I'm coming to Vamvakou today with huge enthusiasm, because I see something taking shape here. I've been working for 30 years with an association that I have created in order to give the possibility to young people the world over to get to grips with remote areas in Greece, and we've volunteered to help there from Evros to Crete, and we haven't actually taken root anywhere because we never found somewhere 5 people in the foundation that would support this work. So although we went to a village and we created a dry wall, or we helped paint a school, or create the community archives in Mytilene. So the project remained, but the efforts seemed to be lost. So what happens, however, we have thousands of young volunteers worldwide who have this wonderful experience. They found another side of Greece, because of course we didn't go to Mykonos, not that we have anything against Mykonos, but we went in fact elsewhere. We did a lot of work in Epirus, so we went and found people who said, oh, what do you want to do all that for? But that is not the case here, and this gives me great pleasure, and I'm at your disposal to bring volunteers here, young people from the whole world, in order to do important projects here. Then to the other gentleman. Please, you have to come closer to the mic. Please use the mic. I'm afraid she can't be heard. The Stavros Niarchos Foundation for their contribution to Laconia and for this announcement with respect to the hospital and the museum. Thank you warmly. So we'd like to thank the team which has been active for Vamvakou, and not only with its example, because it's paving a new path for the growth prospects of Laconia. So thank you all. I would like to clarify something, if I may, because return to roots is, in fact, a rather open and broad point for discussion. So, 35% of people lived in the 1950s in cities. Now, in 2019, it is more than 55%. So, over 50% of the world lives in urban centres. So, this has truly changed both the economy, but also the conditions in which we live. So it's changed the infrastructure, dietary habits and needs, and also the way in which we produce food. So we have a more industrialized way of producing food, and we've set aside traditional ways of producing. In 1950s, if we were to actually go back in time, all of what we see today, which is wonderful nature, were in fact pastures for the sheep and goats, and that's how we had the wonderful cheeses and meat. But can we turn back time? That's a question I have in mind, but perhaps it's a rather romantic way of seeing things rather than a reality on the ground. But what we can do, but we need to strive long and hard, is to support the economies and support actions that will keep people behind, creating economies towards that direction. This is not an easy endeavor. It's something difficult, but in my eyes, it has to be achieved. Because if this scenario continues as is, for people going to live in urban centers more, soon we might have a dietary crisis, and this might be something that will afflict the global population, something that we would not want. Thank you.
My name is Mario Georga. Reverends, it's a blessing to have you amongst us. You bring back memories only a few years ago when we celebrated 100 years of the village, and this was indeed a blessed day. Thank you very much for being here with us. Mr. Drakopoulos, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, we thank you. It's a great honor for us to have you here, to honor this glorious day, because this is indeed a glorious day for Vamvakou. I'm one of the senior women in Vamvakou. I remember Stavros Niarchos, the late Stavros Niarchos, the late Evgenia Niarchou, the Commander family, your father, and indeed I have many things to remember. And I can tell you things that you might not know, what your ancestors lived here, and they embraced the village and not only gave material offers, but also gave their love to Vamvakou. I won't dwell on that, but what I'd like to say is that we would like to give our great thanks to you, to the blue team. And I don't think that we should say that this is an uncertain effort. It's a matter of seeds. Seeds have to find fertile ground to grow, and these seeds found you. Father Georgios, who is amongst us, who blesses us all, and he serves in Vamvakou and the neighboring region at no fee whatsoever. So thank you very much, Father, for this love, and we hope that we will continue to receive this love for Vamvakou. Thank you. On behalf of the entire village, all of us who have lived here as children, who would go to school with our teachers, with our priests. Our teacher was a priest. And every Saturday we would go to church school. This is what helped us become good Christians, people of progress. Vamvakou Well, we had to leave Vamvakou because we had to make a living, and we thank God we had the experience of the school here, and the school helped us grow. I don't want to tire you any longer. Thank you very much. We hope that our children will go on. We give them our best wishes. And I think that in our prayers we should always commemorate this village. 10 to 15 years ago, I would go and visit an old lady staying here, and she would tell me that winter here is very difficult because we're left on our own. And she was afraid of the health issue. And I would tell the lady that, yes, you are right, it's the wind knocking on your door. Thank you very much. Thank you.
His Reverence, and then we will take your views. Well, I wanted to speak last because I remember an incident. There was, in fact, a team of children from the upper high school, and they went to the Metropolitan of Nurse meeting, and they invited them to an event in the school, and the Metropolitan asked, what is the subject of your so I know what to say. They said that we haven't invited you to speak, we've invited you to hear us. So I also came here to listen to you. You know, when we are very much remiss if we don't listen to the younger people, because the younger people are, in fact, apt to understand the signs of the time better. I listened very carefully to you all, and I really find what you said praiseworthy, because you spoke with your cultimate mind and heart. So we all came here to Vamvakou, which has, in fact, beauty and grace, and you can find it in every branch. We came to this honored and glorious village that was blessed by Kapitan Despotis, and we see that a host of people distinguished who had their roots here and who were born here and that have gone to the whole of the planet, and that have found, in fact, a way to get ahead there, and that is true for the Niarchos family. I listened to what the representative of the Greek opera said with respect to Installment, and this gave rise to a desire within my heart, and together with what you said, which is very noteworthy, and which will help the group of people here, and it's something that you have not mentioned, but I will say it. So at Installment, at that time, before and after, when you were, we had, in fact, Hieronymus I, who was the priest there. So what is my line of thinking? So I want to come here to be the priest here, even though I'm a metropolitan. So I'd like to add, and forgive me, that in order for something great to happen, and I would like to congratulate Mrs. Yorga for saying that the seed has been sown. So when the farmer sows the seed, they do not reap the fruit the next day. They wait. Difficult times go by. The weather can be inclement, and when the summer comes, then they go to reap the fruit. So you see, the seed has been sown. Let's not expect results immediately. Remember, when the grandfather of Papas Kleses was planting a walnut tree, the young Papa Kleses, who was, a young guy that's liked to have fun, he said, "Why are you sowing the seed? You will not live long enough to eat the walnuts." And his grandfather said, "I sow, but you will eat the walnuts when the walnut tree grows." So I would like to express my gratitude to Mr. Dragopoulos and to the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, because they have been our benefactors in many ways with respect to what has been done today and everything that's been done so far. And we see that they have given us grants to all the 12 foundations of our Metropolitan Church, but also with the new grants with the School of Byzantine Music and Byzantine Hagiography, and with the announcement made today with respect to the Sparta Hospital and Museum. Mr. Dragopoulos, please accept our gratitude. My gratitude to you and to the Foundation. So, in the memory of the Niarchos family, I'd like to actually refer to something that has to be, that relates to the people who are born here and who are older. So when I went to America in order to see the Greeks abroad, I was in fact invited in to a house, and they spoke to me about the way that they had progressed, but they told me about their complaints. We live in paradise. We're very happy. We have money. God was very generous in what he gave us, but we have a problem. My mother, said the owner of the house, is in the village and she doesn't want to leave it. I considered that it was something easy to do, and I said, when I go back to Greece, I'll go to your village immediately, and I'll be the one to convince her. Indeed, when I returned, I immediately went to the village. I spoke with the mother. She was elderly. I conveyed the greetings and I gave the gifts of the children. I conveyed their complaint. And I said, please leave your home here and go there. And do you know what she answered? My Reverence, I won't actually go to prison without committing a crime. So imagine what was her love for her home of origin and where she had lived her life. So we see that there's a great love of the elderly for their village. Unfortunately, here we were not able to give the hope of revival earlier, and so we see a lot of people have left, and we only have 11 people living here. But it's never too late, so let's do it now. I believe that tonight the souls of those people who are in the cemetery of the village will in fact be alleviated, and they will expect to see a priest here in the village every Sunday, and for the church bell to ring often, and for the school to actually operate. So I believe that whatever people want, where there's a will, there's a way. So let us not forget that in our effort, two things will contribute to progress and success. The help of God first. So God said, without me, nothing. And the second is the love that is, in fact, inventive, according to Chrysostomos. So I believe that Mr. Dragopoulos and the Foundation love this land. And this love is, in fact, inventive, and they'll find many things to do. But I would like to conclude by focusing our interest on the team of people who came here to settle. If they come to love this land, then their love will in fact be inventive, and which will express the demands that have to do with the particularity or with a quirky nature, but which will have to do with the needs of the land. And I think that everything will, in fact, work out for the best when we have God on our side, and we have the Foundation that helps our life by giving us the appropriate aid. Things go well.
Say thank you for your nice words, and I'd like to remind you all what we said at the beginning. If it were not for Haris, Nargeros, Elenis, Panagiotis and Tasso, we wouldn't be here, and we should not forget about that, because there always needs to be someone who is going to been the front line, and we thank them because thanks to them we are here today. Yes, please. Good afternoon. My name is Koutsovitis Panagiotis. I've grown up here in Vamvakou. I've had beautiful years, and I had dreams. After a few years, we started missing our dreams, and now, thanks to you, our dreams are closer. When we had a meeting at the cafe this winter, there were many objections, many question marks, etc. What I kept from this meeting was that there were many wishes, wishful thinking, etc. Now you see these 5 people in these 5 blue T-shirts. We should not leave them on their own. We should all volunteer to help, and that we should engage into collaboration, partnerships. We need to help them. At least half of us. We need to help because whatever happens to Vamvakou will serve as a ripple. Will have a ripple effect in the neighboring villages. Yes, please. Good afternoon. My name is Sotiris Botios, and I am the hospital director. I wanted to take the floor as a last speaker because I have been trying to cover my emotion. I'm telling you this because the new Sparta Hospital was a vision, was a dream, and we will keep it warm in our hearts for the past 2.5 years. At the beginning, there were those who considered this a utopic vision. However, finally, our dream will come true. I'd like to warmly thank the Stavros Niarchos Foundation and to thank personally Mr. Drakopoulos. I would also like to thank Yannis Zervakis and Theodoris Maravellas for their contribution to making this dream come true. And I would like to conclude addressing myself to the guys with the blue T-shirts. Go for it. We had a vision. This was a utopia because we are realists. Thank you warmly. Thank you. Anyone else? I see someone there.
Να πω ένα γρήγορο μέχρι να γίνει και ερώτηση ότι όσο ακούμε για την μπλε ομάδα και τις μπλε φανέλες τον τελευταίο χρόνο για τα
with regard to the blue teams, the blue team, the blue T-shirts, we hear about the yellow vests this last year, which is a revolution against the establishment. And now we hear about the blue T-shirts. This can give a new meaning to the term revolution. We're all ears. Can you please stand up so that we can see you? I'd like to repeat that volunteerism is the starting point. Those of you who will volunteer will not have any complaints nor any objections because they will do it from their own hearts. Thank you. What would you expect to see after this today's event? You let us calm down, Ms. Vousdoukou, a little bit. Give us some rest. Yeah, we need to calm down. No, don't, but okay, we need to get some rest, and now that you've only begun, no, we just want to relax a little bit in order to face a new day tomorrow. Now, what will be the new day like? We will have all the summer activities to be implemented, and we will have to make plans for the winter. So let us relax during this weekend. Ανάργυρε. We will continue whatever we've been doing so far. Tassos. We will go on with greater dedication. I think that we've been encouraged by your presence here today, and we thank you for that. Panagiotis, definitely this fills us with hope and strength for the future. The whole thing together and the whole village is with us, and we'll do our best. We thank you all. Thank you very much for the hospitality. Since most of us are the guests here in the village, we will visit you soon again. Definitely. We'll be here on July 26th and 27th. We thank you all. Of course, we will stay here because we are waiting for the national opera performance. And after that, we'll go towards the Katouris, where we are going to have a traditional feast with local food, wine, and music. Thank you very much. Our next appointment for the dialogues is downtown Athens for August 27th, and very, very soon in Thessaloniki, August 28th. Thank you.